there anyone else
Friday,
who's joined us that would like
January
to speak?
26, 2024. Please note this meeting is being
We're
recorded.
starting our meeting thing.
Thank you to everyone joining us today in person and through the audio option. I appreciate everyone's patience as we will move through today's meeting. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
I was recording you on your first meeting.
Oh, okay.
Good morning, everyone. Director Conroy, absent. Director Dorsey is absent. Director Engardio.
Here.
Thank you.
Present.
Barbarina. Here. Judice.
Here.
Rosal.
Here.
Hernandez. Here. Maston.
Here.
Moulton Peters. Carr.
Present.
Redoni.
Here.
Safai. Absent. Snyder.
Here.
Stephanie. Absent. Terrio. Absent. Here. Here. Second Vice President Rabbit.
Here.
First Vice President Hill.
Here.
And President Cochran.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. I'd like to remind my colleagues to press the button on the microphone when speaking. If you see the red light on, your microphone is live. When you open up the director's discussion, please raise your hand in the secretary or I will call on you accordingly. If we miss your raised hand, please speak up. Following any discussion, we would appreciate the appropriate vote. Please follow along by referring to page numbers located at the bottom right-hand corner of your packet. Since Director Terry Holt is absent, I've asked Director Rosal to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we move on, I have a colleagues of mine from Delaware County that I'd like to introduce. Friends came down from Delaware County, have been here at the bridge several times, and especially in the past. It's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Ward Stover, President of Stover Engineering. Board, Mrs. Debbie Stover, owner of Delaware Office Supply, and the Honorable Bill Fowler, Delaware County Superior Court Judge. It is rewarding to have fellow county residents wanting to honor me. The last time this group honored one of our board members was 1997. This group was the one that came down when former Director John Frazier was voted to be president of this board. Thank you folks for coming to San Francisco to honor me and the members of this board who elected me to this position. Ward, would you like to say a few words?
I would.
I think you can still talk.
Hello, I'm Ward Stover with Stover Engineering. The last time I was here to speak to this board was 25 years ago when your district dedicated the MV Del Norte. We had a pretty fun day riding around on the bay. In fact, I've got my MV Del Norte pin on right now. At that time, I was representing the Chamber of Commerce. I was the president that year. I've enjoyed watching both John Frazier and then, of course, Jerry the last 20 years bring stories back, what this board is doing. And your general manager, Dennis Mulligan, has visited us a number of times in the past 20 years. And I've enjoyed speaking with him as a fellow engineer and getting a better understanding of what this district is all about. So thank you for having me here. Thank you for elevating Mr. Cochran to the chair that he's in now, and don't let him roughshod you around too much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ward. Judge Follett, would you like to say something?
Oh, no, but other congratulations.
Thank
Just congratulations. And
All
I'm
right.
happy to be here with you.
Thank you again for coming down and for the nice dinner last night. All right, Madam Secretary, please continue with the next item on the agenda.
Thank you. And I wanted to acknowledge that Director Roy did come in. One of the other things I forgot to point out as well is I wanted everyone to know that Les Belton's here for his first board meeting in the back there. He's our bus transit manager who plays Mona Babauta. So you get a second to say, Les is over there next to him, next to Mike Hoffman. With that, we're going to move into public comment.
Okay.
And we do have 2 public comment cards in the here. We're going to introduce the first one, Shane Weinstein. Shane, when you want to come up and speak, come on in and join us at the table.
Good morning, directors. I wasn't planning on doing this until I read the board packet. I first want to thank all of the current directors for keeping the ATU pension in the news. For far too long, the district management has acted as though there wasn't a problem, and that it didn't exist. So I'm very glad that this is of importance now. I just want to touch on a couple things here. Mr. Mulligan stated actually in the board packet that for over a decade, the Golden Gate Transit Amalgamated Retirement Plan has ignored the district's requests to take action. I've been in this position for 6 years, but if it's been over a decade, first and foremost, the chairperson of the Golden Gate Transit Amalgamated Retirement Plan switches annually. And any trustee at any time can bring an agenda item up if they'd like to. That was never done. Okay, so as we continue in here, I want to make everyone understand that at any time, the directors could have brought that up on the bridge side. And if they would have done so in 2003 when this plan went upside down, we really could have been having a different conversation at this point. As for going forward, we have made all of these changes. In this packet right here, it states that we've made the changes, but we have not implemented them. We have agreed at negotiations to make sure that this plan is not giving away money. It is up to the pension body, not the union, not the district, to implement these changes. I have worked with Dennis. I have worked with everyone that I needed to make sure that we get the right people in the right place to rectify this plan right now. But I need to be very clear in stating this. The reason why this plan is in the place that it is because it was underfunded for 20 years. The actuary was not being listened to in any way, shape, or form. And that is why we are right here. I look forward to implementing what we need to. All of the trustees. At this point, I hope that we have all of this implemented by the next chairperson who comes in. And I look forward to working. I can tell you that the actuary has actually been picked. We are going to be meeting on February 22nd at 12 o'clock. And I really look forward to that because we have to get this ball rolling. But all in all, we can continue saying these things as much as we want to, but it's deflecting from the problem that has existed for 20 years here. And that was that enough money has not gone into this plan. And one more thing, we've lost half of our members. We went from 300 people to 150. We can't do it anymore. There's nothing that we can give. We've given everything up. Once it's implemented, we have nothing. Okay? So I really look forward to figuring this out. I think we got a great crew coming in that we can talk to, that we can come up with the plan. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sean.
Shane.
Shane.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, Dave Rody.
Morning, my name is Dave Rody. I'm the San Francisco Policy Co-Chair of the Climate Reality Project. First, I'd like to publicly thank General Manager Dennis Mulligan for confirming the hiring of the designer of WIDA's electric ferries to develop the district's ferry zero emission transition plan. I applaud Mr. Mulligan's leadership. Beginning with the bold design of the bridge itself, the Golden Gate Bridge District has long been a symbol for ingenuity and leadership, pioneering automated tolling, suicide prevention, and movable media management, to name a few. And I understand that the district just won the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for the 18th year in a row. Attending these meetings all these years, I have never doubted this district's management or its professionalism, humanitarianism, and bold leadership. I know that you signed a climate emergency resolution in 2019 with every intent of mitigating the high level of greenhouse gas emissions associated with district operations. It's time for the next step. It's time for the Golden Gate Bridge District to develop a climate action plan. This is initially involved the deep scope assessment of your overall greenhouse gas emissions, not just from your transit fleet, but from all your building, energy usage, and your land management. After the assessment, you can establish emissions reduction goals and timelines for achieving these goals. Implementation will be complex, but I only need cite your recent completion of the suicide prevention barrier to underscore your capacity for managing complex projects. There are plenty of examples of climate action plans in the Bay Area. UC Berkeley Center for Law and the Environment completed a climate action plan for the city of San Francisco a year ago. Thanks to Mayor Breed, the plan has not yet been implemented, but I read it. It's a great prototype for any government agency that's ready to develop a climate action plan. And I'm happy to announce that last night, the board of dozens of climate action groups, including mine, the Board of Trustees of City College of San Francisco passed a resolution to develop, implement, and fund a climate action plan, the first such in the city of San Francisco. As Board President Alan Wong said, as one of the largest institutions and property owners in the Bay Area, City College has a moral responsibility to address the climate crisis and create a better future for the next generation. All of the counties represented here on this board, Marin, Sonoma, Del Norte, Napa, Mendocino, and San Francisco, need a climate action plan. The Golden Gate Bridge District can set that example. The community groups that we brought together to pass City College's resolution last night included the Climate Emergency Coalition, Bay Area Physicians for Social Responsibility, 350, Friends of the Urban Forest, Mothers Out Front, League of Conservation Voters, Emerald Cities, Citizen Climate Lobby, the Bicycle Coalition, Green Action, 1,000 Grandmothers, Gray Panthers, and the Climate Reality Project. I can't speak for all these groups, but I have no doubt that of the broad support you will receive across Northern California for developing a Golden Gate Bridge climate action plan. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Justine, now, do we have any other speakers in the audience?
Well, we have no more speakers in the audience, but Justine, do you have any speakers online?
I do. I do have speakers online, and we had a few people join late, so when these speakers are finished, I'm going to ask if we can poll once more. The first speaker is David Kopel. David, go ahead.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Great. A few points. Sorry I was unavailable in December and yesterday. I've had some personal challenges recently, and I'll just leave it at that. On the general manager's report, which is always excellent and frankly a model report for other agencies, I am interested in the Marin Sonoma Transit Coordination item. Love to know how I could be somewhat involved in that. Thanks to General Manager Mulligan for his continued, and I would suggest relentless work on the pension plan. And I note Madeline Chun's retirement, which I would categorize as a seismic event, but given the work on the retrofit, maybe it won't be as significant. Anyway, that's a pretty important event, as well as the service awards for President Cochran and Director Maston. I support the public outreach for the toll increase options that I presume was discussed yesterday. On the reorganization proposals, I understand the need for the new positions, but I think that the DBE work should be under procurement in the district, and the inclusion and leaves work should be under human resources. I would restore a single human resources director position in the district. I also think that the ferry operations specialist, as well as the bus operations analysis and bus scheduling staff, should ultimately be under the planning department. Perhaps these ideas can be explored in future reorganization proposals. Most important today, it's been almost 4 years since the COVID pandemic started and the world has changed. I do not think travel patterns will return to pre-COVID levels, and I encourage the district to measure travel from month to month and year to year and not compare any longer to pre-COVID levels. For commute buses, I think that means some version of the old 4, 24, 54, and 74 routes with new or modified service as demand warrants. The district's transit planning has always been very creative, and I expect that to continue, well, forever. Those are my thoughts this morning. Thanks very much for listening.
Thank you, David.
Our next speaker is Manuel Gamboa. Mr. Gamboa, go ahead.
Morning.
Morning.
Yeah, I just like to. I'll make this short. I'm not sure how my reception is, but I just want to thank the board for giving us, letting us know all about the information and keeping us updated on the suicide deterrent. As everybody knows, my son went there in 2013 and died. But yeah, and just thank you for all the efforts. And it seems like the net part's pretty much done. And with that, just, congratulations to Jerry on 20 years. And thank you very much for everything you do to help save lives and keep people from, family members like me having to go through that heartache of losing somebody that was that easy from jumping off that bridge, the Golden Gate Bridge. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Manuel.
President Cochran, I would like to ask you if you'd mind if I'd poll again. We have several callers join after I finish polling.
Please.
Thank you so much. If you'd like to speak this morning at the board meeting, please use ** to unmute yourself and let me know. Again, if you'd like to speak this morning, you'll need to press ** to unmute yourself and let me know. Okay, President Cochran, I'm not hearing anybody else. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you everyone for your comments. We would normally call on Dennis to provide comments, but since he is not here, Kelly, do you have any comments?
I will try.
Okay.
First of all, thank you to Shane for providing the update to the GMs. He is correct. We have gone through the process of the RFP for the actuarial, and we are expecting to make that appointment shortly. We stand in shoulder to shoulder with Shane and remain hopeful for the development of a rehabilitation plan that would make the pension back solvent. So we stand in solidarity with him. Thank you to David Rohde for your tireless advocacy on this. Again, we continue to advocate for climate conscious practices that would practices here at the district. And just note that the board strategic advisory committee is working on a plan that includes a component as it relates to climate. So undoubtedly we'll be getting some information and activities that come out of that. David Pilpel, thank you for your comments, and we will follow up with the various people on your comments. And then finally, the Gamboas, again, we want to acknowledge our sincere thanks for their tireless advocacy as the district has managed its journey towards the development of a suicide deterrent program. So we're very grateful for them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for everyone for your participation. This concludes our public comment for items on today's agenda. We're going to move on to item number 5 to approve the consent calendar. Before we take our vote, are there any questions from the board members on the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second.
So moved. All right. Do I hear a second?
I heard a second.
Okay. Thank you for the motion on this item, and thank you. Instead of roll calls, I'm going to ask that all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Let the record show that there's no opposition to the motion. Move on to item 6A, which is the report of General Manager. Kelly, you have the whole thing.
Okay, I have several things I'd just like to highlight briefly before we continue on. As Joe mentioned yesterday, we continue to see traffic on the bridge as well as ridership and ferry ridership continue to creep up. Slow but positive steps and trends as we continue to dig out from this post-pandemic world. One of the highlights I'd like to bring forward as someone who has been involved with it is the pre-apprentice program, and we can thank several people that are in this room today. We're seeing some real results, and in fact, our next bus driver class is going to include 10 pre-apprentices and 1 former pre-apprentice program in the class. So over half the class will be including pre-apprentice and apprentice programs. So we're starting to see some real fruits of the labor and the hard work for many people that are sitting in this room today. So I think that's a great opportunity that I wanted to highlight. As Mr. Pilpel mentioned, Dennis has been involved with the Marin Sonoma GMs and executives that have continued to meet on a monthly basis to talk about issues of concern as it relates to traffic or transit here in the area in the North Bay region. As they are starting to turn their focus of looking at the 101 corridor and what can be done over the next 12 to 18 months to efforts that can be involved in possibly helping with some of the congestions as it applies to that. And I'm sure we'll be hearing from Dennis in the months forward as activities are undertaken. Just a couple kudos I'd like to give to Joe Wire and his finance team on a variety of things. For the 18th consecutive year, the finance team has been awarded the Government Financial Officers Association Award for the work as it relates to governmental budgeting. So that's a kudos to Joe and Jen and Cody. So we thank them. Also, Alice Ng and Joe Wire, in terms of our long-term rating, the district has been applied an A+ stable outlook rating again for our commercial notes for the district. And I know there's a lot of hard work behind that one sentence. So we just want to say kudos to the team that's involved in that as well. I will not need to talk about the pension because I think both Shane and I just mentioned it here briefly. So we'll carry on. In terms of emergency actions that were taken, there was one emergency action taken in this last month, and that was for repair of the Larkspur Ferry Berth 2. It was determined or discovered that there was a crack at the base of the hydraulic cylinder at the terminal, and it required an emergency procurement. We went through that process to make the repairs necessary, and so it was at a cost of $195,000. The repair was conducted by Valentine Corporation. No real update to make on the San Francisco ferry terminal repairs at this time. I'm sure there will be additional updates. They're working on final pricing and things like that. So unless there are any questions about that, I will move to the presentation section. Chair, if you're okay.
Thank you, Kelly. Please do.
Okay. It is my privilege to make these presentations. The first presentation is a retirement of our electrical superintendent, Dale West, He is not here today. He has gone off into the land of the great beyond, enjoying his retirement, I'm sure immensely. We're gonna sorely miss him. He was here for about 23 years. He started here at the district in December of 2000 as an electrician, became a chief electrician, and finally electrical superintendent. For someone who always had a smile on his face, that is who Dale West was, and a real can-do guy. So we're gonna miss him. Also, it is my distinct honor to ask Madeline Chun to come up to the front. Madeline Chun is retiring after 40 years of service here at the district as our legal counsel. She served since 1983 at the district. Wow. Yeah. Was a legend when I started here 30 years ago, and I think it just grew. Anything that probably has any meaningful fingerprint on the district, and you all know this more than I, meaningful fingerprint on the district as it relates to legal actions, Madeline probably has had her fingerprint on it at some point. Procurement, infrastructure, our celebrations, our 50th and 75th anniversary celebration we had in Madeline. So we're going to greatly miss her. It sounds like she's been doing some fabulous things. I saw her. She's had a trip to the Antarctica and Patagonia. So we're super, super excited. But Madeline, you wish you
Say a couple of words. Congratulations, buddy.
Thank you. May I say something?
Yeah.
We're expecting you. Oh, okay, yes. Mr. President, congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Members of the board, members of the public, and of course, my esteemed colleagues from the executive team and all of the men and women that serve this district so well. I just wanted to come and say thank you. It's been a really rare privilege to be here so long and to see so much change, and all in the good way. This is the room where it happens. And there's something very magic about it. I don't know if all governing bodies are quite like this in terms of the level of courtesy and civility and respect that you accord one another, even when you're having these very spirited discussions. And the care with which you listen to the members of the public, the people that we serve, to speak their truth. And to me, it's maybe emblematic, something about this place and the fact that you are the stewards of this magnificent bridge that inspires so many of us to excel, to try to be the best that we can be. I see that also in our staff. I see it in the drive and the dedication and the willingness to just kind of get the job done in all kinds of strange, rare, unforeseen ways. I mean, I remember Jennifer when she was running around paying people because our payroll system, fell apart. I don't know. And I remember sitting at the table when people were talking about what are we going to do when the millennial comes and our systems might go down, and we just had to rush through and get that system done. And I do remember when Dr. Grace Damon came here, and some of you may recall that she was the one who was very grievously injured in a head-on collision on the Golden Gate Bridge. And she was a doctor, and she helped AIDS patients, and she herself became unable to function that way, and she barely survived. And she came to the board after the movable medium barrier was in. That was another difficult discussion, but you had it. And she came she came with a driver, I think, that hit her. And she came here to basically say thank you and congratulations for doing that. This is a woman who, she lived what she said, which was, compassion is wisdom. And so I feel like there's something special about this place. It binds us all together in a very kind of a kinship, that we want to be the best that we can do, be the best that we can be, and do the best that we can to make things better for folk. And I felt it all these 40 years. It's really important to remember that, isn't it? So I treasure the time that I've been here, and I encourage you to treasure the time that you have here. I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I hope to see you at the 100th.
So I think we have a future board member here.
No, she can't. She doesn't live in San Francisco.
We'll try. We'll keep trying.
Dennis picked the wrong day not to be here because this is so much fun. The next one is also an esteemed member, is our president, Jerry Cochran, his 20th anniversary on the board of directors. Jerry has an illustrious career, as you know. I'll touch on it briefly. He is now our 47th board president. This is his first full, from start to finish one. So he's been involved in a variety of things. I invite you to read the story of how he ended up in Del Norte County. It's great. I'm sorry you didn't get yours. But it's a great story. Jerry was elected the Del Norte County assessor in Del Norte County, and he served as one of the longest serving assessors in the state. He retired in 2006, but has remained active. And I have a little personal anecdote. During the 75th anniversary, I was transitioning from the marketing director to the deputy general manager position, but one of the things I had to do was fill out if you recall, we were going to all the county fairs in our service area and promote 75th anniversary. So I went to Del Norte County to do the 75th anniversary. And I truly now understand what royalty is. When you mention the Cochran name anywhere up there, it was like a crowd of fans. He is well regarded and well esteemed, he and his family up in that area. And I came back and said, man, Jerry's like royalty up there. So we wish you the best. We're so grateful that you're here for 20 years, President Cochran,
Well,
and we say thank you.
Thank you, Kelly.
The gift that he chose for his 20-year anniversary for this, his service award, is too big to present here, so we had to ship it to his home.
What is it?
It was a men's clock.
Thank you, Kelly. We got one more, I think.
Okay. And then I have.
a horse.
Yes.
I asked for one, they didn't come through again.
Gosh, you're gonna have to give that up, Jerry.
Also, we are pleased to announce that Director Jim Maston has celebrated 5 years on the board. He joined the district in January of 2019, representing Mendocino County, served as vice chair of the Transportation Committee, as well as been a member of various committees, including and finance. And he's currently on the board's labor relations and the nomination of officers. He has had an illustrious career in both education and public service, and he also was the mayor of the city of Ukiah for a period of time, leading into 98 to 2000. And he is currently a member of the Hopland Fire District Board, as well as a former member of the Democratic Central Committee in Mendocino County. So, Director Maston, if you would come up and accept I believe we have a pin for him, do we not? President Cochran.
Oh, yeah.
Jim, yep.
Yeah, just a couple of words. I'd like to say that the rise to the middle has been meteoric. The 5 years have been interesting because most of them, or half of them at least, have been via Zoom, but it's great to be back in the room with you and see your bright faces every month in person, and I hope to be here for quite a few years. Thanks.
Thanks.
And one last presentation, President Cochran. Dave Rivera, I'd ask for you to escort Yusuf McNeil. Yusuf is a painter here at the Bridge District, and he was selected as Employee of the Month for January 2024. I think if you read his bio, it says it subscribes to the team adage, which means everyone together everyone achieves more. And you can almost see that in the write-up where it talked about how he's able to address challenges, provide innovative solutions, have a commitment to problem solving, and has a positive attitude and a strong commitment to the department and district's ethics or standards and values. So we want to say thank you for being such a wonderful employee, and congratulations on employee representation.
I just wanted to say thank everybody. Sorry I didn't have time to put my suit on. Everybody
We
looks
like
real.
that suit.
Thank you. Everybody looks real sharp. I just wanted to give a thanks to Fred Nixon for having the leadership, and all my foremen I work with, and everybody that allows us to do what we do. And thank you guys.
And that concludes my report, Mr. President.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any questions related to General Manager's report? Not, we can move on. Okay, Attorney report. Mr. Nolan.
Sure. Thanks, President Cochran. My written report's before you. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And the good news is there's no closed session today. So.
Okay. Madam Secretary, please introduce the next item.
We're going to item number 6C, and that's the report of the chief engineer. Chief engineer Ava Bar-Furbish is here, and she's going to provide you with the report.
Good morning,
Morning.
President Cochran, members of the board. My written report is before you, and I would like to highlight a few of the projects that are covered by my report. First, the suicide deterrent. As I reported last time, all the areas that do not have construction fencing or some other fencing now have the net installed. And there is still work going on some structures, and I just would like to walk you through what's going on. So on the south approach viaduct, there is no field activities with respect to the net because the contractor has to refabricate some sway braces that will be used to support the net. Then there is a net installation activity going on to install the pieces of net between the Fort Point Arch and those tall concrete pylons. On the south main tower, the contractor is continuing sewing the net, and then they will move. This is on the west side. They will move to the east side of the tower to install the net on the east side. With respect to the North Anchorage housing, you may notice when you drive across the bridge right now, there is the whole series of railing posts already installed, but no railing panels been installed yet because the contractor has to change the way they will access the installation of those panels. So they are designing a new access system, and hopefully this access will be installed soon to continue this part of the project. Then I will change and move to the other part of the suicide deterrent construction project. As you are aware, we are replacing the maintenance travelers as part of this job. And so this includes not only fabrication and installation of the new travelers, but also the replacement of the entire system of rails and structural elements that support those rails along the suspension bridge. So on the north back span of the suspension bridge, the contractor continues with the work of replacement of those rails and supporting elements. And finally, we were very happy to hear that on January 3rd, the contractor began fabrication of the mechanical elements that will be part of the new Baton travelers. Another element of the project that it's being done under a separate construction contract You may recall that Dave Vera is working with emergency response agencies to basically plan a combined effort should a person get into NET, how to conduct a very efficient and effective rescue. So as part of this effort, we had a construction contract that basically installed a training net on a Southern Marine Fire Department training tower in Mill Valley. And so this project has been completed, and the training net is now available for the training. Moving on, you may recall that we are looking at the Alexander Avenue. The surveyors completed the survey and a file record of the survey, and now we are preparing the RFP for the design services. We want to engage a design consultant that will help us to go through necessary assessment of what can be done with the Alexander Avenue. Then you may notice that we successfully completed the pavement of the toll plaza before big rains came. We keep this contract open because what we want to do, the contractor did a really good job. We are negotiating a contract change order that will basically restripe the full length of the suspension bridge, and we'll be basically waiting for the break in rains so this job can be done. The San Francisco ferry terminal, this was mentioned in yesterday's presentation about the ferry efforts to basically do combined training of rescue should danger situation happen. One part of this effort is to install physical security improvements, and engineering is finalizing environmental documents, and we will advertise this construction contract pretty soon. And there is this job that was just completed for the rehabilitation of ferry terminal fuel tanks. The contractor completed all the scope of work of the original contract, but we also jointly with the contractor, we look at the external condition of the paint, and we are working on the change order that will basically rehabilitate the paint on the outside. And moving on, we will have pretty soon in place San Rafael employee parking lot improvement and solar panel carport construction project going. The construction contract was advertised on January 9th, and pre-bid meeting is scheduled. It was scheduled for January 24th. So we will open the bids pretty soon, and we will come to the board for the award of the contract. And finally, today, what is in front of this board is a recommendation for approval of addendum to agreement with WRA to eliminate any use of herbicides during the removal of invasive species at the district parcel in Corte Madera. So with this, I'll be happy to answer any questions the board may have for me.
Thank you, Ava. Are there any questions on the district engineer's report? Holly?
Yes, I just have a comment, and I'm going to expand a little bit later, but I wanted to personally thank you for working with WRA to remove the herbicide use from the Corte Madera restoration project. So I wanted to personally thank you.
Thank you.
Or any other questions? Thank you, Ava. Okay. Madam Secretary, could we have the next item, please?
We're going to move on to item number 8, since there are no other reports. Under item number 7, item number 8A is the report of the Building and Operating Committee meeting from yesterday. And Chair Garbarino, you want to start your committee's report?
Good deal. Thank you. And thank you, Amaret and President Cochran. The Building and Operating Committee is recommending approval of board agenda item number 8A1, which is to authorize the execution of the first addendum to the 6th Amendment to Professional Services Agreement number 2014 FT13, Wetland Restoration Design and Permitting Support Services Project with WRA Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $167,000 for invasive species control associated with project number 2041, Corte Madera Marsh Restoration Construction. Authorize a contingency for this amendment in the amount of $16,700, equal to 10% of the amendment amount, and increase the fiscal year 2023-2024 Ferry Division capital budget for project number 2041 in the amount of $183,700 in concurrence with the Finance Auditing Committee as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
Second.
Okay, I've got a first and second on the motion. Before I ask for the vote, are there any questions related to the item? Holly.
Yes, I just wanted to make a statement. I wanted to say that with the amount of $167,000, we will make sure that the Corte Madera Ecological Reserve will not have any herbicides used. And I want to take this moment to really thank the district, to thank our staff, to thank our Furbesh, but also to thank the leadership of the district. I'm sorry, Dennis is not with us today, but I will also publicly thank Dennis, because what we have done today and through this single act and this amount of $167,000 is we have made sure that for generations to come, we are not changing the ecological nature and polluting this Corte Madera Ecological Reserve. And the district, this is a habitat project that is a mitigating measure because of construction. And, the fact that the district has worked to restore these 4 acres of land in the 72 acre tidal marsh habitat, and is now going to use manual methods of weed removal and excavator and biological management to make sure we don't use the herbicides, is really setting a precedent for the district. And we are going to be saving the bay. We're going to be saving that ecological reserve. And I am proud to be on this board. And I really want to thank everyone here for what I know is going to be a unanimous vote on this.
Thank you, Holly. Any other comments? If not, I would like to, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, let the record show that no opposition and the motion passes. Thank you, Chairman Garbarino. Do you have anything else, any further to report?
Thank you, President Cochran. I'd just like to acknowledge Mike Hoffman's presentation yesterday, which covered all things that go wrong with, yes, everyone who was there is now smiling. Some of us were going for our anxiety control medication. It was a phenomenal report on the eventuality of a terrorist attack, God forbid, someone with a gun on a ferry, and it was very comprehensive. Thanks to you and to your crew. And I'm sure all of you will get the opportunity to see it again and sleep well that night. And that does conclude my
Thank you,
report.
Patty. Okay, continuing on to item 8B on the agenda, which is a report of auditing or Finance and Auditing Committee yesterday, Thursday, January 25th. The action item listed as 8B1 was discussed at yesterday's Finance Auditing Committee before being presented to the full board for action. Chair Abbott, please begin your committee report to the board.
Thank you, President Cochran. The Finance Auditing Committee recommends approval of item B1 to approve actions relative to public outreach on proposed toll increase options. And again, I just want to reemphasize, these actions relate to the public outreach plans, not the toll increase options themselves. Actions relative to public outreach on the proposed toll increase options are as follows. A, authorize staff to present for public review several toll options with the understanding that any action to modify the existing toll structure will take place only after an extensive public outreach process takes place, intended to fully inform the public of the district's range of services and the finances required to support future operational and capital programs. And B, authorize staff to conduct virtual information open houses on February 4th and 15th as listed in the staff report for the purpose of providing information, answering questions, and receiving input on the public about the proposed toll increase options under consideration. And C, authorize the setting of a public hearing on Thursday, February 22nd, 2024 at 9 a.m. to be held in the boardroom, the Administration Building, Golden Gate Bridge Toll Plaza in San Francisco, to receive public comment on the proposed toll increased options, and I so move.
Second. Thank you. Member Rabbit, before I ask for the vote, are there any questions relating to this item? Holly.
So I'm looking at the plan, and I'm wondering what was the outreach done for the past toll increase? And I know that you might not have that on hand right now, but right now we're seeing 80 to 85% of pre-COVID traffic, and commute hour traffic's down 30%. I was kind of moved by what David, what should be our honorary board member, said today at public comment, was that he did not think that traffic is going to return to pre-pandemic levels with all of the people, commuting and working from home now. I do think he might be right there. I don't know what level we're going to see in 5 years, but I do know that right now we're losing 25 to 30 million a year, and the one-time COVID federal relief is gone. So right now the 35-cent increase that we have over the next 5 years, or we're in the midst of the 5 years, that with the 4% inflation, it's not really going to fund our operations. So this public outreach effort, I think, is unique. I also think that it's coming at a time where the public may not understand what we are dealing with and why we have these budget shortfalls. Now, it's never easy to have a rate increase. It's very difficult, especially now with inflation. Our members of the pub and our ratepayers are paying more for everything, from groceries to gasoline. So I'd like to see more public outreach. I think that we might need to do more. So we're asking today if after these meetings, perhaps there are other things that we can do to communicate with our users. I don't know if we have any license plate studies from other projects that might be going on, or if we have any way of figuring out who our users are, maybe through the fast track or something. But I would love to see a little more direct outreach so that we're sure that our users understand why rates will need to increase, and we can go ahead and get their support.
I think that's why we have the public outreach, is to reach these people. And I know the last few increases we've had awful good participation from the public, and that's what we want. In fact, yesterday they even talked about having a translator there to talk to some of the people that are affected, especially in the Marin area. So yeah, that's what it's all about, to get public to comment on what we're doing and explain to them why we're doing it. Okay, is there any other questions relating to Director Rabbit's report on finance? If not, All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed? Saying none, so motion passes. Okay. Now, thank you, David, for your report. Now let's move on to item 8C, which is a report of Rules and Policy Industrial Relations Committee meeting of yesterday. Director Hernandez, would you please present your report?
Thank you very much, Mr. President. The Rules Committee recommends the approval of item 8C1 to approve actions related to the establishment of an EEO Compliance and Workforce Inclusion Department as follows. Number 1, title and reclassify manager, EEO and compliance position to director of EEO and workforce inclusion. Number 2, retitle and reclassify the DBE administrator position to manager, DE and workforce inclusion. Number 3, retitle and reclassify the leaves analyst position to administrator leaves of absence. And number 4, establish one senior analyst EEO DBE position for an annualized fiscal impact of $290,498 as detailed in the staff report, with the understanding that at yesterday's meeting, staff was directed to provide a quarterly report to the Rules Committee for no less than 1 year regarding the status of the implementation of these positions. And Mr. President, I so move.
Do I hear a second? No. Okay. Before I ask for the vote, are there any questions relating to this item? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Let the record show that the opposition, the motion passes. Chair Hernandez, please continue with your report.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Rules Committee also recommends the approval of item 8C2 to
Hi, all. Thank you for your patience. We seem to have lost audio, so just give me one moment. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I really appreciate your patience. We seem to have an internet issue, so if you could just hold tight, we should be reconnected shortly. Thank you.
wiggly little line, like what Scott's doing. The line is going to like protect the actual.
Back in business.
Okay, so we
1976,
lost
they
connection
wiggled
right
it, like,
during your
two blocks
second
this way, a
item.
block that
So
way,
we
who
heard
knows why.
the motion,
So
we
what's Scott
made the
doing?
first motion, and
He's
then
just
we
moving
lost
the
you at
lines
about
with just a
second.
nice
So
straight
that's where we
line
lost
right
you.
along Great.
So I'm going to
all the
redo,
coast is
just,
fully
let's just
protected.
redo the
It's
second one
getting rid
just
of
in
the
case,
squiggles.
because I'm not sure
Just
exactly where it cut out.
Just the Great Highway.
Okay, so we'll redo the second one. Okay.
No. From the water up to the Great
So
Highway.
the second
will
item,
still be
the
protected.
Rules Committee also recommends the approval of item 8C2 to approve amendments to the district's Ferry Division Table of Organization as follows. Establish 3 new operational positions that will report directly to the Director of Ferry Operations, consisting of 1 Vessel Operations Manager position, 1 Maritime Program Manager position, and 1 Ferry Operations Specialist position. And within the Ferry Engineering and Maintenance Department, add 1 Ferry Maintenance Planner position and eliminate 1 vacant Ferry Projects Administrator position for an annualized fiscal impact of $678,752 as detailed in the staff report. And Mr. President, I so move.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions related to this item from the board members? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Let the record show that no opposition to the motion, and Chairman Hernandez, thank you for your report. Do you have anything further?
No, just to say, only to say thank you to the committee for a thoughtful discussion yesterday. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Okay, let's move on to item 8D, which is a report of Government Affairs and Public Information Committee meeting from this morning. Chair Snyder, would you please begin your report?
Thank you, President Cochran. The Government Affairs and Public Relations Committee recommends the approval of item number 8D1 to authorize execution of contract number 2023-D101 State Legislative Advocacy Services with Platinum Advisors LLC of Sacramento, California for a 5-year term, with 5 additional 1-year options to be exercised by the general manager's discretion for a total not to exceed in the amount of $764,000, with the understanding that the requisite funds be available in the fiscal year 2023-2024 district division operating budget, and future years will be budgeted accordingly as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
Second.
Got a motion first and second. Are there any questions related to the report? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? If not, let the record show that the motion passed. Chairman Snyder, do you have any further to report?
No, I was going to say, I apologize. I missed yesterday, but I really had the opportunity to, and I shared with a lot of you, to be in New York for our Climate Jobs Summit with the White House and with labor leaders throughout the nation and with the National Resources Defense Council and the League of Conservation Voters. And it was John Podesta, who's the climate czar with the White House, and he's in charge of implementing the Inflation Reduction Act, which has a ton of opportunities for this district. We talked about electrification of all transportation systems, bus fleets, ferry fleets, and it was really neat. And also the ability of taking labor into consideration in our workforce and having these training funds available. So when you do move from diesel to electric, that we get the appropriate training. And it's really neat that there's a ton of opportunity, and this is a real pivot moment. And as we transform our economy in this climate crisis, that we do it in the right way, and we do it with people at the center of it and equity at the center of it. And it was a real inspiration. So I came back really kind of charged up, and I just wanted to comment on that, and looking forward to the opportunities that we have at this board to implement some of those policies over the next 10 years, because there's going to be those pots of some money available as they come up for grant opportunities and whatnot. So.
Okay, thank you.
There's hope.
Okay, there are no addresses to the board under agenda item number 9. Moving on to the agenda item number 10A, which is the ratification appointment of the Golden Gate Transit Amalgamated Retirement Plan Board. I've appointed Director Maston and Rodini to replace myself and Director Terrell and complete the current appointment term, which ends January 31st, 2025. At the end of this term, I will be bringing forward another full slate for ratification. Before I ask for the vote, are there any questions related to this item? If not, I hear a motion to ratify the appointment of Director Jim Maston and Director Dennis Rodoni to represent the district on the Golden Gate Transit Amalgamated Retirement Plan Board.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded.
With a thank you to them for serving.
Yeah.
Save the thanks till later.
Yeah.
Well wishes. Weigh in.
They'll tell us how it goes more later. Then I call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those in opposition? Let the record show that no opposition, the motion passes. Okay. Now, we have nothing for item 11 and 12. Item number 13 is communication. If you would like to copy of the communication, please contact the district secretary's office. That leads us to the end of the agenda, and there are no further items to be presented to the board. I please have a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion, just a second. Thank you.
Next meeting. You do too.
You have,
I know. Who is it?
Sheila Livanek, mother of Deputy General Manager David Rivera, Nancy Gaffney, mother of ADA Compliance and Program Manager John Gaffney, and Harold Johnson, retired Golden Gate Transit bus operator. This concludes the meeting of the Board of Directors, and the time is 11:09.